Welcome to the Filmistines, the double feature podcast. Join us as we unravel the interwoven experience of the continuous conversation of cinema. Take part in pairing movies with their cursed counterparts, movies that share DNA, or even pairing questionable duos by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines. We offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level, where the $5 tier grants the ability to request films to further the discussion. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready to join the 100-year conversation. This is the Filmistines, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience. And welcome back to another episode of the Filmistines. Thank you guys for joining us today. I am joined today by my perfect friend, Lucy.
Hello, everyone.
You can join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for brand new episodes of the Filmistines. Some recent episodes include American Fiction, Monster, Bottoms, Earth Mama, and The Iron Claw, the biggest letdown of 2023.
That's not the biggest letdown of 2023.
Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas over on our Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines. Come subscribe for $1, $5. Write an Apple review.
An Apple review?
Yes.
Whoa.
Are you stressed and filled with anxiety like I am? Maybe in a bit of pain from that car accident you had a few years ago? Well, the sponsor of today's episode, Hempville CBD, has us covered. They have the highest quality products created by chemists and doctors. Hempville carries everything from CBD to THC dispensary grade without those despicable dispensary prices. Order your Delta 8, 9 edibles and vapes along with the THCA flower and get free shipping when you spend $50 or more at hempvillecbd.com. Check out the link in the description for more details.
But today we are discussing Wim Wenders' 2023 film, Perfect Days, about a man cleaning toilets. I just wanted to start off by saying that I liked this film very much. I liked how simple it was. I like how vague everything was and how we resisted on giving too much texture at any moment to our main character, Hirayama. I like this insistence on the world moving around you, no matter how much of a routine and control you might have on one's life, right? I like this weight of trying to figure this guy out. I like how inviting this man is, right? And how receptive he is to the world around him, you know?
Yeah.
It's really awesome. I like really great dialogue, right? In movies and conversations and monologues, of course, which you could have seen maybe fit here, a monologue or two, but a lesser director would have maybe gone down that route. But Wim kind of seems to have this appreciation for one's privacy, at least at some times, and other times we get a little glimpse into some of the things that makes our main character want to get up in the morning and just, look forward to his weekend. The simple little things why we love life, right? His obsession with taking photographs of, I want to say trees, but not really trees, but the kind of relationship the branches and leaves have with its negative space, right? You can't tell what's up and down, left and right, because he shoots through the foliage. While at the same time, there's moments in this movie, right, that feel like there's a lot of weight in his mind, a lot of history. Obviously, he's an old guy, right? He's lived a life, so there's just this perfectly vague amalgamation of a person that makes this movie really special, I think. What do you think about this movie, man?
Yeah, first of all, I can't believe I sat through something this simple and mundane for 2 hours. Just saying that simple movies are not, I don't want to say they're not my style, because something like Napoleon was very simple and something like Rice Boy Sleeps was very simple.
Sure.
And I absolutely love them, so they are my style, but sometimes they're a little hard to get through, and this was not. So I was very surprised I could sit through this and still enjoy, because even compared to those movies, this was by far more simple in his daily activities, his life. I'm not sure how I feel about this movie. I think I'm gonna need some time to process it, and I don't know how much time I'm gonna need to process it, because there's a lot going on here and there's a lot being said that's going to require some kind of self-reflection out of you to understand it and fully capture it. It's not, yes, this man is enjoying the simplicity of life. He's very content. He's very grateful. But on one level, me personally, I can't relate to that at all. Not saying I'm not grateful or content, but not to this level whatsoever. Oh my God, that's insane that someone can be like that. And you might think this is funny, but this man reminded me of my dad. I don't know, and maybe that's why I liked it a lot. But my dad is a person who has his routines like this man does. Like, ever since my dad got married and had kids at 17, he's gone every Sunday to go and buy us, the Sunday breakfast that he buys every single Sunday. This man doesn't miss a beat. And he's in his 50s now? And it's just that routine. Every morning before work, he goes and buys coffee at a gas station. Every single morning. And if one gas station doesn't have it, like Hirayama here, he goes and finds another one. It's his routine, and if it gets disrupted, he's completely fine with it and goes and finds something else to still be part of his routine.
Yeah, there's something really beautiful in the receptive nature of letting things just happen like that.
Yeah, and he doesn't get mad. He might complain like, oh man, like, why do I have to do this? Because I think at one point some guy was telling him he couldn't buy coffee unless he paid for gas, just to try to get him to pay money. And my dad was like, no, I'm not doing that. So he went to somewhere else. Kind of like our boy here. He did his coworker's job that randomly quit, and he wasn't happy about it. He still complained. He still got his 2 cents in, but he still went and did the job. It's so awesome to see people being so accommodating, not taking it, not being pushovers, but just accommodating to life like that. It's so nice. I see many people complain every day about their job and how exhausting that is. So it was very nice to see. And I also like that this man cleans toilets, because it's a job that it's not fancy. It's not a fancy job whatsoever. And again, comparing it to my dad, he doesn't have a fancy job either. He's a construction worker. I mean, in a lot of places, people look down on construction workers. But my dad, he is so proud of his work. And he's got like sketches and notebooks of the jobs he does. And it I don't know, it's just so easy to draw this parallel with Hirayama here, because he's also someone that takes his job very seriously, no matter what low-level job he has. And another thing was the music. I mean, I could see my dad listening to this kind of music too, and just being so particular about the CDs he still has in his truck. A little more modern than Hirayama's cassettes, but still, it's just, I don't know. It was like I was watching a Japanese version of my dad. And my dad's like the healthiest man I've ever seen on this planet. And I say that because there's just something about being good with yourself and content in life, and just being so grateful to be alive, that you don't worry, you don't stress, you just enjoy living. And that is something I completely cannot relate to whatsoever. I'm a very high anxiety person. So I don't know, maybe this is why I have such a hard time thinking about how I feel about a film like this.
It's hard not to see Wim's appreciation for those who just want to do a good job. And it is fun that he has given this man the job of a public toilet cleaner, a job that, at least over here in the West, you hear people just definitely not wanting to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny that Wim's given him this job. Almost to the degree of making a statement in that some people, no matter their work, take it very seriously. And maybe an element of a different time where people used to just work harder. Because we have this man who is more or less stuck or should I say thrives in, the 1980s or whatever.
Yeah, I like that a lot too, about just the work ethic that's so important to this man. Just, no matter what he's going to do it very well. I mean, he takes out a mirror to see under the toilet to make sure he cleaned everything right. Who does that? And he's just so calm and patient with people just barging in and having to use the bathroom. I mean, these people don't even have the audacity to say, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like, I feel like maybe somebody like me and you would do that if we see a janitor cleaning the toilet. Would say, "Oh, I'll come back," or yeah, I don't know. But these people are just barging in, and he's quickly picking up his stuff and just walking out the bathroom. And he's okay with that. He's not angry. These people are interrupting his work. He's just, I don't know. This man's on a different level. He's just existing. And right now, his way of existing is cleaning these toilets. So no matter what's going to interrupt him for this day, he's going to get his job done. And there's something to appreciate about that, because there's not a lot of people today. And, I'm young. I've only had very few jobs, maybe 4 or 5 different jobs throughout my life, including high school, summers and stuff. But I have not met many people who not only love their job, but take their job seriously with care. And it doesn't even have to be on a love level. We don't know if this man loves his job or not. But this is the commitment he made, and this is what he's going to do.
I do think you can find him loving this job, especially in those moments where he does get basically kicked out of the bathroom. Because he leans up against the wall, and there's this, expression of doing a good job. He gets some satisfaction out of this for sure, and it's really neat to see basically an anonymous service he's providing, right? Of course, he's seen, but he is not spoken to. He's by his clients. And of course, we've all had to go pee and take a shit like no one's business. So we rush in there and, take care of it.
Yeah.
So you can almost hardly blame anyone for not acknowledging him, right? And so there's this funny exchange, really, that happens a few times throughout. And he knows that they're going to notice how clean it is. Everyone notices how clean a bathroom is, right?
Do they?
Yes.
I only notice it when it's dirty. I guess that means I notice it when it's clean, by hindsight. So, okay. That's true.
And maybe it's like so many other things, especially in filmmaking, where not noticing is all the validation he needs, Like, of course, he would never know this, but him noticing that you're not noticing there is zero problem here is validation to him, satisfaction to him.
Yeah, that's very true. And I like what you said about how he just stands outside and enjoys maybe looking at the trees or whatever. Because there's one scene where one of the toilets he cleaned and he's standing outside waiting for somebody. The trees are making a shadow because the wall is so tall. He can't see the trees, but there's a shadow of the trees moving. And I was like, this man is enjoying this so much that he's even enjoying the shadow of a tree. And I mean, that was great.
See, and that's why I say less of the tree itself and more of how the tree just is in the world and how it interacts with itself and the negative space around it, and the wind, of course. And that obviously makes a shadow at certain times of the day.
Yeah.
Of course, too, I like that he photographs the trees. And it's funny how he does it. I mean, he uses an old camera, gets it developed and everything. It's fun and always, it shows his way of doing things. But he takes the photos in a way like he doesn't want to surprise the tree. He tries to sneak a photo of the tree when it's not looking. Capture it in its most vulnerable state kind of thing.
And yeah, and there's something to be said there, because he also does that when his niece is there and she's looking at a tree and I think she's just touching the tree, admiring the tree, and he snaps a picture of that. He doesn't tell her to pose. Nowadays, a lot of pictures are very planned and propped. So there's something very nice about that, about just capturing it not only in its natural state, but as it is, as it's being.
As the natural experience happens, it's just totally unmolested and unforced.
Yeah. As a bigger picture here, I like to think about if we're even capable of doing this as a society, as a generation. And he has one quote that he likes to say to his niece about now is now and later is later, kind of teaching her to live in the moment. And, later will come. But right now we're just going to, focus on our bike ride and focus on being with each other or whatever. And reading a lot of reviews about this movie, almost everyone has stated, yeah, I like this movie because it makes me think about that I need to do that too. But I don't know, is that just something that people are saying just because you are now watching this movie and thinking, oh yeah, I should do that, I should live in the now? But I don't know, this might just be me, but this generation, especially with social media, is moving so fast all the time. Like, you have to plan ahead, you have to schedule things that I don't think we are capable of living in the now. That's not a thing that can happen. And it's very rare. And it's so awesome that there's people out there that can live like that.
It's not unlike these things we talk about with different mediums of storytelling, where there's just different lifestyles and mediums of art that come with certain baggages and different restraints. In some lifestyles, sometimes it's out of your control. Sometimes you live in Los Angeles, in the United States, right? Or sometimes you live in a farming town in Japan or wherever, I don't know, just a very rural area, place where you might not get Amazon delivered at, right? And there's different ways of being that come out of those different kinds of societies. It's very relative, I guess is what I'm saying. Which I guess makes it especially kind of funny to see a man in Tokyo able to hold on to some of that simplicity, right?
Right. Because I feel like someone our age having that kind of job, which we kind of have a little representation of that here in the movie, maybe if we're not as crazy as Takashi, but thinking me, if I had this job, I would definitely have headphones on, or maybe have, a video playing in the corner while I clean the toilets, or just something.
It reminds me of how around 2013, 12, maybe 14, we entered this phase of like practicing mindfulness and different types of meditation, where it just became this trendy, phasey thing.
I think it still is.
I think we're still in that trendy thing, yeah. But like so many things, I feel like in the United States, it became less of a train of thought and more of a personality. And what I mean by that is I think people, including ourselves, tend to get lost in just the commerce of things, including stuff, your PlayStation, your Apple shit, of course, but also ideas. Like, how if you're conservative, it defines everything about you, Same thing with liberal. Not really, but that's how a lot of us approach the world. And there's less of a sense of being and I hate to say it, but just thinking. It's more of just what boxes do you check? And I don't know what it's like in Japan today, especially with young folks. I'm not Japanese. I don't live in Japan. But I would imagine it's becoming lost there too, because they're becoming so westernized too. I would imagine that because the stereotype of this tradition in Japan, and even places maybe like China and stuff, and some East Asian countries, the stereotype being that they're more of a reserved people. They hold on to tradition a little harder. They're less resistant to change, or as quickly, at least. So, I just think some of the fundamental kind of differences between the East and the West, especially maybe the U.S. And so I sort of agree with you that there's this complete unlikelihood of experiencing something like this.
So we're all fucked.
Well, no, it's not the one and only way to live.
No, it's really not. But just think about how many of these mental disorders we could get rid of if we could feel like they're feeling, like the Hirayamas and my dads of the world, and just think how healthier.
Or how about just start with feeling and not trying to suppress it and hide away?
Oof. All right. Now we're a mental health podcast.
But my mental health is my part of my personality. My mental health makes me me. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Don't change anything about it. That's just who I am. To pivot a little bit here, I absolutely love the almost childlike traits we give him and just how wholesome some of these moments can be. Like when he's playing tic-tac-toe with a random stranger. We don't know who it is. We don't care who it is. He found this tic-tac-toe, and I love that he throws it away at first. And he thought about it. He was thinking about it. And he pulled it out and started playing tic-tac-toe, and nobody won. And it was okay. And it was just the most wholesome thing I've ever seen. Or the scene where Takashi's girl gives him a kiss on the cheek. Because in that moment, she just appreciated this man so much. And something, I don't know, something that he introduced her to that is now something she likes, now is part of her world. I'm not exactly sure. But I love that he was just so surprised and touched at the same time by that kiss.
It's that inviting nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see that repetition of him directly and indirectly interacting with the world. Sometimes he's like, no, and then he changes his mind, like with the tic-tac-toe, or when, he wants to go to his restaurant and he sees the restaurant owner and her like ex-husband hugging or whatever, and he's like, oh shit, I'm just gonna walk away from this. He just, and it's a fun kind of miscommunication ultimately, but it's kind of like Vim, where there was that urge to like, gotta give someone some privacy here, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And the universe kind of came crashing down on him in a funny like situation where her ex-husband thought that was her new boyfriend or whatever, and he's like, oh no, got the wrong idea. And it's just funny how receptive he was to that, and then he started playing with the guy.
Yeah, and that's another of those. That's another example of that childlike trait where this guy just told him some big news, some awful news, some life-threatening news, I guess, and they're over here playing shadow tag to distract him, to just make him enjoy the moment. Who does that?
People who understand how fundamentally important play is.
And it's so fucking good. It's so good. I wish that was part of people's lives, to play around more. Because nowadays we have people that are just so they're just they can't take a joke anymore. They get so offended by everything. So now the people who do want to play feel like they can't because, well, now I got to worry about offending somebody. And I love that he sees the best in people. He sees the best in everyone he comes across, especially Takashi. He gives him his money. Even though he knows he's not going to get the girl. He knows he's not going to see that money back. But what the heck? I have the money. And also with his sister. We know there's a little bit of history there. We know there's something there that we haven't been filled in on. But that hug that he gives her before she walks away is a hug of
wait. That was obviously one of the great moments of the movie, because it really is that moment where the universe comes crashing down on our main character of vagueness and ambiguity, where there's some history here and we know it's not actually the best, but at the same time his response is, you can imagine it just being purely from not seeing his sister in 10 years or whatever, like all this. It's just overwhelming to see that individual in the flesh and blood,
Yeah.
And maybe you read into that to some degree of why he doesn't want to go see his dad, right? Not really important. But it does show you that, no matter how collected an individual is, how meditative they are, there's weaknesses in your armor. Not that he's kind of building up a wall
It's almost like he's so okay with himself that he's going to express himself no matter what that feeling is going to be. People that are content in life enjoy all the moments, even the little moments, even the sad moments, even the waitful moments. And he's just expressing himself. Because right after he catches the restaurant owner and her ex-husband, he goes out and buys some beer and some cigarettes. You know, you could say that, oh, that's out of character of him, but no. We don't know that really, and he's just experiencing what he wants to do right now. I mean, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but he's just living.
Yeah, the convenience store guy may have been like, "You want a pack of cigarettes with that?" And I could very easily see this man being like, "Sure, you offering? I'll, you know." I used to smoke when I was a kid or something,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
All right. And then he smokes and he's coughing. So,
It's been a while.
He's been, yeah,
at the very
exactly.
least.
Exactly.
And then I like that guy, bums a cigarette and also coughs.
Yeah.
It's a real funny moment. It's a great moment. It's obviously one of the great moments as well.
So this man is just living. This man is just, he's just experiencing. Because this isn't a movie about just pureness or faking it till you make it. It's not a motivational movie.
Or even a movie exploring the kind of transcended nature of pure beingness, like a monk or something.
Yeah. This is just a man in his day-to-day life.
Who maybe just doesn't run as fast with the rest of the universe. He's comfortable strolling through. And then all this stuff just happens to him and he's fine. Like, I really wanted something to happen with him and that, like, depressed girl at the benches and wherever he was at.
Oh, that
taking
awkward
pictures.
girl?
Yeah. What was happening there? I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what did you think about the homeless man and the awkward girl at the park? Nothing happened with them. He was just observing them.
They were just two examples of other lives. I wish we could see a trilogy of films here with the depressed-looking girl on the bench and the tree man. I wish we could have a trilogy and where they cross paths at the same exact, because they're happening all at the same time.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be really awesome because we see the tree man out in the middle of the crosswalk in the city, in the really busy city, just doing his tree stuff. And we don't stop.
I was like, he's about to take root in the middle of the road.
Yeah, we don't stop to check on him. He just sees him. And someone honks at him and he's like, oh, I gotta go. And that's it. That's all we saw. So that'd be awesome to see.
I like the whole cassette situation he finds himself in with Takashi and Takashi trying to sell his cassettes because they fetch a pretty penny. It reminds me of the cigarette scene, or how he got the cigarettes most likely, where he kind of just got brought up and he was like, yeah, okay, sure. And then, of course, there's this resistance to selling the cassettes because they're
part of his routine, first of all.
They're his thing, books, cassettes, taking pictures of treetops.
And his plant, his babies.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. And I especially like the music choice, the soundtrack here. I love the songs we gave this movie. We start off the movie with The House of the Rising Sun, which is a great song, great way to start the movie. And we end the movie with that Feeling Good song, which is a classic. And in between, we have other great music choices. And I just like that we get a glimpse of this is his music taste. I feel like you can appreciate a person a lot by their song selections.
And how he responds to others like Takashi and Takashi's wannabe girlfriend.
She's not wannabe girlfriend. Or
Takashi wants her to be his girlfriend. Putting the cassettes into the slot. And his niece.
Yeah, he has to correct them.
He's like, hold up.
Before you mess it up.
It's like the fastest amount of kind of oomph we get out of him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Other than him responding to Takashi quitting. and calling, his boss to make sure they find someone for tomorrow. Yeah, I thought it was funny that the girl who showed up to replace Takashi was like in tip-top shape. She's ready to work. She was there before him. I was like, all right.
I like that. I like that too. And I think he liked that.
Yeah. He was like, all right, this is not Takashi for sure.
Another one of those wholesome scenes that I really like was when he went to the bathhouse with his niece and they were leaving. And we get a shot of the old man smiling and kind of confused on what's going on here, but just so, I don't know, so appreciative that he has family. So I don't know how to describe that feeling that I saw in their faces, but it was just so heartwarming and wholesome to watch that. That was good. That was a nice little touch. I also like that he made his bed as soon as he woke up. Like, into his rising action of rising out of bed, he is folding his blanket. Who fucking does that? I have never seen that in my life. I am just tangling myself in my blankets as I get out of bed after snoozing my alarm like 30 times to run to my computer so I can log in for the day because, I work from home. But this man is just waking up, which I guess also, speaking of him waking up, I love that his dreams are a reflection of his daily life.
It's like a subconscious dumping. I like that too a lot.
I didn't know if I was going to like those after the first one I saw, but really thinking about the movie.
He's not hung up on stuff. He's not letting things control his life internally.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I like what you said earlier about we're in this kind of era of practicing mindfulness and breathe your 10 breaths every day. Your 10 deep breaths every day. You should be breathing a lot every day. And there's also a popular one of write your 10 daily reflections or the 10 things you're grateful for today. When in reality, this is what they mean.
Well,
Let shit go.
Well, I think in reality, they've lost sight of what they really mean.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. We don't even know what we mean anymore by practicing mindfulness and reflecting. That's a great point. I like that. You can't just pick 10 things, 5 things that you're grateful for today. I pick the same 5 things every day. I'm doing it wrong. I know.
There's this modern obsession to itemize and mechanize and to systemize everything about our lives, to log, right? It feels we're so many, derivatives kind of removed from the original function that we've lost sight of why it all matters.
Yeah, like it's not even practical anymore. And almost like you're not doing the real work that you think you're doing. You're not thinking about what you're putting on your list. Like I said, I put the same 5 things. And I just put it to write it down, because if you write it down, it's true. You have some false sense of satisfaction that I got that shit done. I got my 5 gratitudes in. I'm good. I'm going to be healthier, mentally healthier. And there's something about that faking it till you make it mentality that definitely helps you in a lot of ways. But you're right. It's veered so far from the original idea that, is this what we got? Is this what I have to work with now?
I'd like to believe that it used to be this aphorism of instilling some kind of stability, right? But now it's the foundation of where we start. When I went to graduate school, during orientation, one of the first pit stops was this little seminar on imposter syndrome. And I think about that all the time because it just feels wrong, because these people, theoretically going to graduate school for whatever, are part of the high functioning future of pushing technology and innovating. And I can't help but to sympathize with, well, it's hard, you don't feel like you're good enough, and you need to kind of negotiate that in your head. But mechanizing it to the point where it's our first stop on this assembly line, felt so hollow.
That's a good word.
And it's no doubt part of the equation of why I dropped out. It was hard to see through some of that for me. But again, I guess we're so brainwashed with our tiny millennial brains that I can't help but to kind of sympathize with it at the same time.
Yeah.
It's kind of unsettling, truthfully.
Yeah, and this is why this is the type of movie that I feel like it would drain me to keep thinking about it. I don't have the energy or the time to think about this. But then that's part of the problem. So, great film.
And it's funny because calling it a challenging film, which it no doubt is, sort of feels like I'm undermining it at the same time.
I know.
Because I'm just one of many who are part of this thing of modernity.
Yes.
It's a meta mess. It's a post-structuralist mess, no doubt. But and it's hard to talk about with deliberacy, but I definitely love this movie. And I don't know how I would recommend it to someone exactly. It's definitely not a movie to put on family night, date night kind of thing. I wouldn't.
Not unless you're trying to test her.
Exactly. I will say it makes me want to watch Wim Wenders' filmography for sure. I know it was supposedly like technically new territory for them, they said, but I'd be curious to know what that means exactly.
Yeah.
Because his visual language is probably that thing that helped drag you through this movie, because it's so important. If that visual language can speak to you, the movie it'll take you pretty far. There's a lot of mileage in that. Unlike Earth Mama, Earth Mama's got a similar kind of minimalistic thing happening, but the visual language is, radically different, obviously, and it didn't click with you for the most part.
Yeah.
And then characters are, the next hurdle for sure, and our main character here is much more inviting than Gia was in Earth Mama, so.
At the end of the film, when our main character and the ex-husband of the girl have that interaction, he lets him know that he's got cancer and the cancer's terminal. He asks him if shadows get darker when they overlap. And I'm racking my brain on what exactly was the point of him asking him that. If that was just the McMuffin to get them to play shadow tag, or to get them to be silly and, well, let's interact it. Let's see what happens. Get over here. Look, get your shadow on my shadow. Or if there was a darker meaning behind there that I can't quite interpret in my brain. Like, do darker days just get darker because he's in this state of mind?
There's something to that. I think the intention of the whole movie is to find something for yourself, like most great movies, of course. But Vim is very sure to never reveal too much. And to add on to what you just said a little bit, I see it from more of the perspective, and how at any point, singular point, like on a sidewalk or whatever, in space, is influenced by everything around it as far as light, right? So like literally as far as like what they did in the movie, they got in a line from the most obvious source of light and casted so-called two shadows, right? It was actually one shadow because it's coming from that one source of light. So it wasn't actually making it darker. So it was like, it's making some cogs move, right? They're just like, I don't know. Yes, I think it might be getting darker, but it's not. And it is the singular moment in the movie that has something to say. Like I think you're picking apart. There's never a singular just way of how things are and will be. They are influenced by the many sources of light around you. They are sometimes hard to understand why or how, but they will, no matter what, still influence that point in space, right? It doesn't matter if you get in its way. It doesn't matter if you get in one lane. All these things are still going to happen around you. And if you change lanes, all of a sudden things are going to still happen. They just may look a little different, right? Sometimes there's a wreck. Sometimes you got to dodge a crazy person in the road. That shadow example was just an example in my head of the incontrollable influence just the universe has on a point in space, which happens to be our main character in this movie, but it could also be that point on the sidewalk with the shadow. Because of course, if he stands in front of the main source of light and then they manage to find the second strongest source of light, all of a sudden where their shadows overlap, it's darker, right?
Yeah.
But they had a very shower thought moment there. A couple of kids, right? It's fun. And it's just a great example of the beauty and the mystery of how it all works. And of course, some people try to get some kind of control on it. And some people, like our main character here, just live and let be. And he's very nice and inviting and very receptive. So he does interact with it more than you might first expect, because you might expect him to be a little bit of a hermit or something with his simplicity and solitude, right? But he's very receptive of the world, and so that invites more things to happen to him. Good and bad, of course. We see mostly good here, really. But he probably avoids a lot of bad. But yeah, does that make sense?
No, that's very well said. It's very well said. I gotta think about that more, though, for what it meant to me. I have to reflect on my sources of light. The introduction to this movie was great. And I love a good introduction. That's how you get me. But the end of this movie was absolutely stunning. It was great. I loved it. I loved it. I loved everything from his expression while he's driving and just feeling what he's feeling. I mean, I teared up watching this. We have this Feeling Good song playing in the background. The sun is hitting his eyes and he's still driving, so it's like shadow and light, shadow and light. And I feel like there's a lot of ways to interpret his expression, what he was feeling. But to me, it was just seeing a man so appreciative of being alive at that moment and experiencing his emotions.
Your proper mindfulness.
And it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen at the end of a movie. I didn't know how to feel. I just know I was supposed to feel good with him.
Yeah, it reminded me of the end of Pearl with that long take. It's powerful stuff.
Yeah, Pearl didn't give me that.
Well, I hope not. That was not the right movie. You're feeling something. I don't know I don't want to know what it is.
I feel like, I don't know. Did I want to turn it off or did I want to go on a killing spree? I don't know.
Yeah, that ending is extremely powerful. While it was playing out, I was already reflecting on why this scene was happening. And I don't think it was totally unlike him being rushed with this force of something when he talked to his sister. Just this uncontrollable, undefinable wave of emotion, good and bad. A mix, totally. And so I was just running through the scenes in my head while that, close-up was playing with that song. Because I could see some sadness, I could see some happiness, right? I could see some good smiles, some smiles, some ready for the day kind of expressions.
I really like this scene because I feel like I have had a similar moment to what he was just experiencing. I'm in my car, I'm driving to work, it's like 5 a.m, and I'm listening to my jams, my whatevers I'm listening to at the time. And all of a sudden I get this rush of feeling good, like just, I don't know how to describe that feeling. It was just pure goodness that it made me cry. And I just kind of shrugged myself off and say, okay, I'm having an emotional day today. And those moments have happened very little in my life. But I don't know, I was there with him. It was just such a rush of feel good for the day. And then I get to work, it completely gets destroyed. But for that moment, that's how I felt it. And it was so powerful and it's so good. And it's just, I don't know. It's just a moment you feel when you're alone that you never give another second thought about. And seeing someone else in a film experience that was on another level.
Well, man, thank you for that talk. Thank you for watching this movie with me.
No, thank you for making me watch this movie.
Do you have a budget guess for me here today?
Yeah, my budget guess is 10 million. I'm giving it Past Lives budget, which I think was 12.
Yeah, that's good intuition. It says here that it's about 14 million.
Oh, I almost gave it 15, but I thought that'd be too high.
And it went on to make about 24.3 million.
That's good. Is that good?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Apparently it's Wim Wenders' biggest box office hit. So that's awesome. Congratulations. But now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, over on Letterboxd with 109,000 people. Nice chunk of folks. The consensus is a 4.2.
Wow. Good. Well deserved.
Of course, and it's funny that it just screams that thing you were talking about where people get it. People want to be like that. People want to be humbled and appreciate the world we live in a little bit more. And so, of course, they give it a 4.2. It's sort of the kind of movie where it's just, we don't deserve it. We don't deserve this movie. You know? It doesn't deserve a 4.2. It doesn't deserve any score. And in a way, it's, I don't know, maybe a little embarrassing to try to quantify a thought in that way.
Yeah. Yes.
But because I am a millennial and I have a soft brain, I don't really know how to score it.
Same here. I'm struggling. And I'm struggling with my thoughts on this film. And I feel like this is one of those movies that you've talked about before that will just randomly pop into your brain. And now you got to think about it. Especially because I see my dad in this movie so much. And my dad is an enigma. My dad's I am a very anxious person due to my mother. I love her, but I am. But my dad is the reason why I can still find happiness in life. This man is proud of anything we do in life. Anything. He's just happy every one of his kids, everyone around him is living. That's it. That's all he wants. And there's something there. There's something there for me on a very personal note for this movie as well. So I too cannot whatsoever begin to give it a score.
I'm curious what happens when it wins at the Oscars for international film.
Is that all it's nominated for?
I think so. It's the only, I guess, speech that I'll be looking forward to. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Filmsteins. Remember, we post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday over on patreon.com/Filmsteins, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, all the goods. Thank you guys for all your support. Go subscribe. Leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas over on our Apple reviews. Go request a movie. Good movies only.
Yep.
But until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Filmsteins. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed the discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives in the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/Filmsteins, and follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching and keep loving the magic of movies. This is the Filmsteins, signing off.